Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Talking to Angels with Christine Dyck. Today, it's just me, and we're going to be talking about tarot cards. I've been getting a lot of random emails, people wanting to learn how to read tarot, where to buy decks, what kind of decks do you buy, what's the difference between tarot cards and oracle cards and angel cards. And so I'm going to be sharing some of my field research with you. I've been reading cards since the late 80s, so don't really want to do the math on that and age myself. But yeah, I'm going to be talking about how to buy a deck. What else? Where, the best places to find decks. Do you need to be gifted a deck? And so if that's the kind of information that you're looking for, you might want to stay and listen. Okay. I started reading tarot cards in high school, and I actually found them for the first time over at my friend Lisa's house. I would go to her house, and her parents had this wonderful closet full of games and puzzles and activities for her and her sister to do, either together or with their friends. And in the closet was a tarot deck, and I pulled the deck from the shelf, and it had a black box. And I'll actually show you. Lisa eventually gave me the deck because she was so tired of me using it when I went to her house that she just said, "Here, you take it." And so what I took was what she shared with me was something called the Mythic Tarot. Okay, and the book is in the other room, but the deck came with the cards, a book, and this beautiful silk cloth that had an outline of the traditional Celtic cross spread. So it's a 10-card spread that I've been using ever since because it works. But it was a really cool deck to have for the first time because each of the 4 suits in the deck are based on different Greek myths. Okay, so, I don't even know if you can see. So, for example, here we have Jason. This is the 3 of Wands. So this is the myth of Jason and the Golden Fleece, for example. Okay, so I read all of the stories that basically interpreted the meanings of the cards and used myth and storytelling to get the meanings across to me. So that was my first introduction. Okay, so that is one way that you can learn the tarot if that appeals to you. In my early days, I heard a rumor that you have to be gifted a tarot deck. And although I do think that's true, I think it's just as fine to walk into a store to buy a deck, but people have gifted them to me over the years. And when I feel called to do so, I, in turn, release decks to people. Okay. So this is my very first deck. It's very special. And so I wrap it in the scarf that my father had in his lapel on his wedding day. And I keep it in just a plain box, but in a wooden box. I don't use it anymore, but I still hold it quite sacred. This isn't a deck that I would give away unless I felt called to do so, but yeah, so that's very special to me, and it reminds me of all the first readings I ever did before I really knew what the cards meant. I'm a bit of a traditionalist, and I'm a big fan of the traditional Ryer Waite deck. Okay. So I've been to it's not there anymore, but there was a store called Crystal Dawn on Dalhousie that I used to go to all the time. And one day I went in there to pick up a Ryer, just your basic. This is your basic Ryer Waite tarot deck. And the owner got really mad at me, and she's like, there are other decks, right? So, there are many, many different decks, hundreds, thousands of decks. But this is this is the original Ryer Waite deck. Okay, so there are earlier decks whose names escape me. The Torani, I believe, is the Italian deck. And there's also a French deck when courtiers used to use them as playing cards. There were early game versions. But my belief is that the cards are based on the Tree of Life, which is found in the Kabbalah, which is early Jewish mysticism. Okay, so, and I believe that that the Rider Waite Tarot kind of, just emulates that system. Okay, so that's advanced tarot, but we're starting with basic here. So if you are new to tarot, I highly recommend the traditional Rider Waite deck. You get to know the basic meanings of the cards, the colors, the symbolism. It's very, very important. Okay. So as a result, I love using that deck. But there are also companies like Tarot Collectables in Northern Ireland, and they have the same symbols and the same image, same imagery, but they have different themes. Okay, so it's one of my favorite companies, and they do small batch printing. Okay, so there's like the winter Waite, there's the groovy Waite, there's the spring Waite, there's the sparkling spring Waite, but all my symbols are there. Okay, so I wanted to show you that deck. A deck that I picked up over the pandemic is called the Tarot Santa Muerte Tarot, okay, which is sort of a Spanish deck, but the illustrations are done by an Italian artist who does beautiful, beautiful imagery. So if you resonate with that imagery, you might really like that deck. And so the images are just a little bit more complicated than the traditional deck, but if you resonate with the imagery of a certain deck, I'm going to show you the Runic Tarot. The imagery, if you resonate with it, can carry a whole other level of interpretation or blending with the cards, right? So I'll show you. So this is the Runic Tarot. So it's a deck that incorporates Nordic runes and rune systems. So you can read both the tarot, which are based on the traditional deck. But for example, this is the death card. So some of the traditional images are missing, but there is the additional of the runes. Okay, so for tarot card readers who want to go that one step further, and there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something about this imagery. Whenever I do a reading with these cards, I always get goosebumps. So there's something there, these are magic to me, right? So they might not everyone might not resonate with the same imagery, but I've been very surprised by like all the goosebumps that I get when I use those cards. Even picking them up, I'm feeling, they're pretty cool. I thought I would show you guys. I don't know who puts this out. Okay, so we have the builders of the Adytum. Yeah. And they are in Los Angeles, California. And they actually put out a deck that you can color. So if you're learning to read the tarot, they call them the keys. You can You can color them or paint them as you're learning the symbolism. So here's the High Priestess. So yeah, I still have a lot more to go. But we have the Hierophant and the Magician, and I think I've used watercolors mostly, or watercolor pencil crayons. The Fool. Yeah, so that's those are pretty cool. And so I also have, this is Italian, I won't take them out, but these can be fun sometimes. The Tarot of Sexual Magic. Okay. So you get some Kundalini magic with that. And I thought I would show you also the Lover's Tarot. Okay, so this is like a giant deck. And it just has the major arcana cards. Okay, so within the tarot, if you don't know already, there's two decks. There's the major deck and the minor deck. So the major arcana cards are in here. So we have like Justice. And here's the Fool. And we have the Lovers. So something else about the tarot, people complain that the cards are a little bit too big and it's awkward to shuffle them. And it's supposed to be awkward, okay? So even though having miniature decks and things like that are fun, they're supposed to be a little bit bigger than your hand, because you're putting in your energy, okay? It's supposed to be a little bit too big, a little bit too bulky, but you know, they make them in all sizes now, so pocket size is okay too. So yeah, I think that's it. So those are the things you want to ideally keep your cards, you know, protected. And so this is like a silk pouch. You could have a box or, you know, a wooden box or special place. You can clear the energy in your cards either by knocking on them like this. After you've done a reading, if you want to clear the energy, you can go like this. Or you can clean them with Palo Santo. So this is a wood that you can, it's like incense that you can burn. It's sacred. Or sage. But I find that knocking on them works just as well if you're in a hurry. And yeah, so tarot cards are not oracle cards. Some people prefer oracle cards or angel cards. And you really, if you're just new to using the tarot or other types of divination, you know, it's important to just see what resonates with you. People doing a tarot card reading, if you don't know what tarot readings are, you're basically asking a question, you're communicating with spirit or God. Sometimes you can have specific questions that you would like answered, but very often the cards tell you what you need to know most. When I first started reading tarot, I would clean my house on a Saturday and take a bath. And it was sort of a part of my self-care routine. When I was younger, I would do a reading, maybe not every week, maybe once a month, and I used it like a diary. And that was a really good way to get to know the cards, to use them, you know, every day, and to reflect on, you know, what the cards told me versus what was going on in my life. Usually they tell you, you know, what's already going on, but once you get used to working with them, you know, they will definitely give you a heads up on what's going on. And so as I've gotten older, I've done readings less frequently, which is kind of funny, but because I don't want to know everything all the time, you know. But whenever, you know, someone wants a reading, I feel like, okay, they want to, you know, they want to have a healthy perspective on what's going on in their life. I also incorporate numerology in my readings. And I am psychic, so I am able to see things that are coming up for people. But I just kind of wanted to go over some basics for people who are thinking about buying their first deck. I would highly recommend the Ryer Waite Tarot. Definitely, I support small businesses. And so in Ottawa, I would promote Otherworldly Treasures. That's on Baseline Avenue. But, tarot cards, you can buy them online. If you're looking for, a small batch printer, I would highly recommend Tarot Collectables in Northern Ireland. They have really fun decks. And so, yeah, it really is my hope that that tarot cards are demystification. Like, even though they're magic, I think they're still very misunderstood. I don't recommend drinking alcohol or using substances when you're doing tarot cards. Okay, divination is, it's like meditation. Praying is talking to God, and meditation is praying is talking to God, meditation is listening to God, right? So when you do a tarot reading, you're talking to spirit, right? So you definitely want to surround yourself in white light and not allow any negative entities to come into the reading or attach themselves to you. So I don't recommend, you have to be aware of your surroundings, and having a sacred space. And I definitely see it as a sacred practice. But we can discuss that another time. I really just wanted to quickly go over, things I look for when I'm looking for a tarot deck, and maybe I'll do a separate video on oracle decks or angel decks if that would interest you guys. Please let me know in the comments below. But I hope I've given you enough information to get you started in, finding your own first deck. Okay. All right. So if you have any suggestions for, upcoming Talking to Angels podcast, or if there's a guest that you would like to know more about, please let me know in the comments section below. Okay. So take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.